Today we'll be talking about the most fundamental, basic grammatical structure that exists in the Japanese language. That isn't to say the expression of state of being. In English, it is known as the verb to be, like I am or you are. Say if you know Spanish, it's ser, yo soy, tú eres, usted es. In Japanese, there's no exact verb. There's no actual verb of, to be or whatnot. But rather there is more of a declaratory particle that is used to establish the presence of. And it's very simply used. For example, I could take this, and this would be a complete sentence. Note that this is the period, not some particle or word. That's just a period. In the Japanese language, it is generally just written as a small circle. This is the word hito. It means person or man. You can see it looks like a stick figure of a man with two legs. So hito da. That literally means there is a person. The hito means person, as I said before, and da establishes the presence of that person. So hito da is a complete sentence. Similarly, this is the Japanese word inu. It looks sort of like person, but it has a couple more strokes involved. Inu means the word dog. So saying inu da means there is a dog. Now what the dog is doing, what is it, like these various details about the dog are not established. And in the Japanese language, it doesn't need to be established. Japanese is a much more minimalistic language. You can get away by saying a lot less things and still calling it a sentence. And we'll see how far this mentality goes with later lessons. So, inuda is a complete sentence, which means there exists a dog. Let's try another one. Gakusei da. Gakusei is the word for student. By saying gakusei da, you're saying there exists a student. Now, last one, which is slightly more tricky, is it's pronounced Genki da. Genki is actually, ironically, a name of a textbook that is commonly used by many Japanese students. I never personally used it, but I know many people who do. So Genki actually means, health or wellness, to say. So while Genki is generally used as an adjective, in this case it's more of a noun, a wellness or beingness of health that's being established. So by saying Genki da, you're saying someone or something is well, or wellness is established. Now, upon whom or what this wellness is being established upon, that is not said in the sentence. That we do not know. If anything, that will be implied by the conversation in which this sentence would be said in. So, for example, let's say that someone is asking you how your grandmother is, and you could very easily respond, Genki da. That just means the noun, your grandmother, is already implied in the conversation. You don't need to establish what the topic of the conversation is. That's already been decided for you. But by saying Genki da, you now put wellness or health upon the already aforementioned noun, grandmother. So if someone asks you, how's your grandmother? You can simply say, Genki da. She's well. So this is where things get slightly tricky. You can actually establish existence or state of being without da. So for example, that was actually terrible. Let's try that again. There. Hito. you've seen this before, means person. And that's actually a complete sentence. You don't need to say anything more by not writing da, or having da as this ghost particle that's somewhat there, but not really. You establish that there is a person. Now, by putting da in the sentence, you can say hito da. That further emphasizes the existence of that person. But it's not necessary. If you are a male, it's very common for males in Japan to use da, because males are, again, stereotyped to be somewhat more forceful, aggressive, as far as the stereotypes go, and they generally do use da. Females, on the other hand, generally do not. They use the more formal tense sometimes, or sometimes they won't say da at all. They'll like to say hito and get away with it, and that's perfectly fine. Not to say that, males can't use this, they use it all the time, and not to say females can't use da, they also do it all the time. But generally, that's how trends go. So, saying hito without the da is a perfectly grammatical sentence. That means there's a person. Saying inu without the da. The da is a ghost da. It doesn't have to be there. But by saying just inu, you've essentially already established that there is a dog somewhere doing something, but you've established that it exists. And that's all that's needed.